Vice Admiral Mead, welcome to 7:30.
Thank you very much, Sarah.
What convinced you as a Navy Vice Admiral that the threat to Australia or Australia's interests from China justified this massive increase in our military capability?
Well, Sarah, the government made a clear decision that the region had changed. It had changed for the worse. It had become less stable, more fragile, and we needed a capability that could defend Australia, protect our people and safeguard our economic prosperity. That decision was brought into stark relief today with the three international leaders, the AUKUS leaders, making an unprecedented announcement on the AUKUS submarine pathway, the sharing of information and working together to deliver Australia really a generational change capability.
Just before we come to the details of that, when you say the region, you mean China, don't you?
I mean the Indo-Pacific there, Sarah. That's what we're focused on. It's our area of interest, our homeland, our mainland, our waters around Australia, the South Pacific, Southeast Asia, into the Indian Ocean, very broad landscape which we have to live in and operate from within it.
Yes, but I guess I mean when you say the region, I understand the geography, but when you say the region, you mean the change is the increased threat from China?
So what I mean is that just the overall changes. You look at what's happening in the Ukraine right now with Russia, where we recognise that there has been reclamation of land in the South China Sea and modernisation, the military modernisation of islands there. A whole bunch of factors have played into this. It has culminated in this government making a decision to deliver a capability that is world-class and will defend Australia.
Let's talk about that capability. Next decade, we're going to acquire 3 to 5 US nuclear subs. Then we'll be part of designing and building a new AUKUS model submarine. Why not continue with that US Virginia-class model rather than switch to a new one?
The acquisition of the Virginia-class submarines in the next decade will deliver a world-class capability, a capability that can defend Australia and protect our national interests. It will deliver it in a very timely manner, whether they are transferred or actually purchased off the production line. The Virginia-class submarines do have commonality with our current submarines, the Collins-class submarines. We share a common combat system and a common weapon, and many of our sailors and officers right now sea ride in Virginia-class submarines.
So,
and we have 20 years.
So that actually, forgive me for interrupting, but that actually raises the question: why not stay with that model of submarine? Why switch to another?
The US are ceasing production of the Virginia-class submarine in the early 2040s. And it was clear that for us to continue down that pathway, either by building our own Virginia-class submarines or by continuing to acquire, would not be a sustainable capability. And so the thought process is then looked at, okay, what is the optimal pathway for us? What gives us an enduring solution? And the follow-on design to the UK Astute-class submarine, now SSN AUKUS, is actually quite mature in the design. It's about 70% mature. The US will incorporate key weapons and combat systems into that submarine. The UK very much are looking forward to that. It really does deliver a trilateral partnership. It is a capability that we will build in conjunction with the United Kingdom. They will build theirs first. We will build behind them in order to de-risk those first-of-class issues you sometimes have with capability. And then we will deliver that capability, those SSN AUKUS in Osborne, South Australia, from the beginning of the 2040s.
The US and the UK have workforce pressures of their own. In both cases, their boat building is behind schedule. How are you going to be able to build a big enough workforce in Australia?
So we intend to commence construction of our own SSN AUKUS at the end of the decade. We have industry workforce. We have submariners we need to train up. We have an S&T organisation. We're working with companies in Australia. We're certainly working with the US and UK right now to embed people overseas in shipyards, for instance, into maintenance facilities in the US so that they are skilled in the art of the Virginias. We're looking at embedding people into the UK construction yard at Barrow so they become proficient in building SSN AUKUS or submarines of that like and then bringing them back to Australia. We intend to grow an industrial workforce and an S&T workforce. We're working with universities and TAFE institutions to grow welders, machinists, electricians, lawyers, logisticians, project managers, electrical engineers, nuclear physicists. As I mentioned before, we currently have sailors and officers undergoing nuclear reactor training in the US and UK right now.
US President Joe Biden said today that approval for Australia to get the US submarines is dependent on the approval of Congress. Essentially, are we going to have to pay the US in cold, hard cash into the US shipyards to get that approval?
So I think what Congress is really looking for Australia is the commitment of the SSN AUKUS program and our commitment to be part of a trilateral partnership with the US and the UK. And I think they're seeing that, and from the feedback that I get, we're getting very strong support from Congress.
Vice Admiral Mead, thank you very much indeed for joining us on this particular day. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah.